Yes,
Is that right?
indeed. Brian's roller bridge and the tremolo tailpiece is a work of art, a genius design.
Okay, Greg-san, we'd like to talk about the Fryer kit, George Brown's model, its history and advantages, etc. So, can you explain a little bit about the brief history of the George Burns?
Yes, indeed. So my idea for George Burns began shortly after the meeting that I had with Brian May and Pete Malandrone at the Queen office, which I think was Pembridge Road, Notting Hill Gate, in July 1996, where I met Brian for the first time, and we spoke about my idea of making extremely authentic red special for him. This was in London, of course, and we spoke for approximately 2 hours. Brian explained what he liked in the guitar and what he was hoping that I would achieve for him. Brian was leaving for holidays immediately the next day and flying out for a few weeks, and he very kindly said, Pete will look after me and give me access to the Allerton Hill studio and be there as long as I needed it. And Pete was fantastic during that time. We spent 3 full days examining the red special, photographing it. I played it, recorded it, took every measurement that I could given the access at that time. It was during that time that I asked Pete about the second guitar that I was considering making for Brian that would be made out of woods that I was more familiar with as a guitar maker, and I thought might offer Brian something interesting tonally that his red special made from blockboard oak mahogany didn't. That might augment the sound of his red special really in an interesting way. And that, of course, was the New Guinea rosewood neck, the Brazilian rosewood fingerboard, the New Guinea rosewood with chambered acoustic pockets in the body. So Pete thought that sounded like an interesting idea, and he said, we talked about the star inlay in the 5th fret, so Pete gave me valuable insights into what Brian liked, what he didn't, his favourite colours, and that it was a valuable experience. So that began the process.
You came back to
Sydney to my workshop here. Yes.
And what was the process to build it?
It was very detailed and a long process because there were many aspects I still had to explore regarding the pickups, obtaining the right the timbre, the block board, etc. Having the frets slotted to 24-inch scale length, which a friend of mine in Brisbane did especially. So there were many aspects, months and months of pickup experiments I did in here, winding 50, maybe 70, 80 pickups of subtle variations, trying different magnets, playing them in my guild. Brian May guitar served as a test bench where I'd put pickups in and out of that, play it through my AC30 with a treble booster. Pete knew I would need a treble booster for this, and kindly let me Pete Cornish treble booster for a short while. So I was doing over many months tests on the pickups, the sound at the same time, and having the timbers cut, thickness. I had good stocks of New Guinea rosewood, the Brazilian rosewood fingerboards I had very good stocks of, so I was getting all of them thickness, everything prepared for the body, neck making, as well as the blockboard and the once I got good supplies of blockboard, of course, and the mahogany, the oak. So there were many aspects.
Thousands of experiments.
Indeed, and at the same time figuring out what size decal was going to be appropriate for the headstock. Pete told me that one of Brian's favourite colours was yellow. I chose the yellow that I thought would look good on the headstock. These are the first batch of decals that were made with the bromide. We worked out the right size. I then got the decal maker to make a run of these decals and did various experiments on pieces of wood. One piece we have over there. Would you like to hand me that, please? This is one of many experiments I did on wood with the decals. That's one of my Strat decals. And so there was many aspects to it. This was a wonderful opportunity extended to me by Brian May. I felt very privileged, and I worked 7 days a week for 18 months on this project, long hours.
Can you tell us a little bit about the bridge and also the angle of strings, because those things would be very different from the original?
Yes. Do you mean the angle of the strings as they pass, as we look over the top of the guitar, passing through the nut to the tuning heads?
Exactly.
Correct. So on John and Paul, because I decided to make the second guitar like Brian's, Paul, as a backup in case any accidents befell John during the making or the transporting. So that was the reason why there were two made out of mahogany oak blockwood. But on them I made them faithfully to Brian's specifications. George Burns, being a more experimental, creative prospect with different woods, I felt I would try to straighten the path of the strings as much as I could in the Brian May headstock, so narrowed it a little, getting the Shaler tuning heads as close together so they were virtually touching, achieving almost straight through pull on that the D and the G strings. So that was the reason for its slightly slimmer appearance in the headstock.
So together with the a little modified the bridge, then the tremolo, it works quite good and very precise.
Yes, indeed. Brian's roller bridge and the tremolo tailpiece is a work of art, a genius design, better than any other that we've seen on any guitar. So it was great to have those recreated by people in Brookvale, Richard Den Brinker, who made those reproduction pieces to very fine detail, working down to a couple of thousandths of an inch.
Wow.
And so luckily I found people, very skilled engineers who could recreate those for me. We did a slightly different version in terms of I spray painted a nitrocellulose lacquer on the knife edges to begin with, so to help with a little bit of rust rejection.
Okay.
But they were made extremely close, as close as we could to Brian's. George Burns's bridge, I decided to try to improve the friction aspects. Discussing with Richard Den Brinker, we made the base of the bridge and the blocks, supporting blocks out of steel, mild steel, which I spray painted lightly with nitrocellulose lacquer. The rollers were larger outside diameter, same pin diameter through the center. My reasoning was, from an engineering point of view, that would allow, when the string moved over, less internal friction and might allow the string to stay in tune even better than Brian's smaller outside diameter rollers. But in practice, it didn't make any difference. So in theory, Richard said, yes, I can see that from an engineering point of view, that might assist the roller to come back to the starting point when you depress the tremolo arm, then bring it back. But he made it really nicely. I thought the steel might help transmission of sound through the body, but in the end, I don't think it made any improvement. because Brian's works very well, and the steel ended up rusting with Brian using it for many years. Around 2004 or 2005, whenever it was, Andrew Guyton then replaced it with a standard Brian May style, one of his aluminium bridges. Yes. So that was my attempt to improve the efficiency of the bridge further, but it just proved that Brian's original design was more than adequate. Yeah, so George Burns, of course, has had the aluminium bridge on it ever since, same with Brian's original. And I think that works perfectly well.
After 2005?
2004, 2005, I forget when it's.
Okay, then my next question is that Brian has been using your George Barnes for a long time still now, and what would be his favorite points of George Barnes?
Well, in 1998 especially, because I was spent 8 or 9 months in Brian's studio, seeing him often many times a week in the studio, having long discussions with Brian. I remember him describing to me that George Burns gave him a slightly more aggressive sound, to which he liked and thought useful in some song applications. A slight different tonality. He liked its sort of rich tonality. So he just felt that it complemented his Red Special nicely in what the tones of the wood were producing. That he particularly has found a use, as you know, on the Queen songs like I Want It All, Fat Bottom Girls. So he thought the guitar itself, the tonality, the slightly more aggressive directness helped those drop D songs. I think it gives it a definition to the notes, definition to the tone, just a little more than the Red Special, as good as it is. The other additional benefit is it just looks stunningly beautiful. So it's very nice from a visual point of view. The rosewood fingerboard, I personally liked it. So I was putting some into George Burns what I like myself to play, and what I've made in a lot of my other guitars. I really love Brazilian rosewood fingerboards I use on the majority of my handmade guitars, including George Burns. And that has a beautiful sound to it, rich, good definition in the notes sound to it, and feels great on the fingers. I prefer that to the lacquered fingerboard of, say, Fender Maple Necks or the Brian May Red Special being the black lacquered oak. So that's my own preference. And of course the Madagascar rosewood fingerboards are as close to Brazilian as you can get these days. Look very similar, feel similar under the finger, very similar tap tones and tonal response. So I think that's a very important aspect.
For George Burns, we will use the Brazilian rosewood for George Burns.
Is it possible to obtain small supply?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. You're like me, I stockpiled through the 1980s and 1990s. I think Madagascar rosewood is a very, very good second choice, and that's a great alternative to Brazilian rosewood.
Yes.
In fact, I digress, but in 1999-2000, I bought about 80 fingerboards, Madagascar rosewood fingerboards, from our friends Gerard Gillette and Darryl Wheeler at Guitar Woods, and went over and tap tone, tested them all, selected about 80 in preparation, I thought, to make Red Special guitars for a long time, George Burns guitars for a long time, which I eventually sold to another guitar maker, unfortunately. But yes, I so loved the sound of the Madagascar and felt that was so close to the Brazilian rosewood. I had good stocks of Brazilian, but even better stocks of Madagascar. Yeah, so that's really good to hear.
Yes.
Yeah, talking about the neck, can you talk a little bit about truss rods, which we are
Yeah.
here?
Okay, so here is an example of one of the truss rods that Richard Den Brinker made me in 1999, based on the the original design that I used in John Paul and George Burns. And so this this comes really from Romney Godden, who as you know, I started guitar repairing with, and I was a master guitar repairer in this very unit. In 1980 I started with Romney, and he was using a truss rod which he borrowed ideas from Alembic, which was welded at one end. He was using round rod initially, then I found this square rod which was actually tool steel, and I bought a whole pack of that, and we made truss rods. I had other engineering friends make them for me, tap the thread. So this will only bend backwards. It won't bend this way. If the neck has a convex bend, it won't help. But 9 out of 10 guitar necks, as you know, bend this way under pressure of strings. So this bends itself back and the neck with it to correct the concave bend of the neck. So this also stiffens the guitar neck somewhat. So much more so than Fender truss rod, which doesn't stiffen the neck at all.
Okay.
So this is what I've been using all through the years, and my theory was, as long as you spend a long time, making sure you have very stable materials and know how to make a guitar taking the right patient amount of time, then this is perfect. And very few of the guitar necks I made have ever needed much, if any, truss rod, which I'm very happy to say. So I feel it's a good system.
Okay, and then we need to talk a little bit about our selection of the wood. This time we visited some shops on the sellers to select those woods. So can you talk about it a little bit, and then how did you find the right ones?
The right timber suppliers and the right woods. Yes. So for the New Guinea rosewood veneer that we've chosen, we travelled 2 days ago out to the original suppliers that I bought my veneer from in 1996 and 1999, and they had beautiful stocks of New Guinea rosewood veneer. They gave us great service, and we've Kazataka-san has bought a nice quantity of very spectacular looking New Guinea rosewood veneer for George Burns project, for Astronaut project. Well, we also travelled to one of the main good timber yards in Sydney, and spent quite a bit of time hand selecting New Guinea rosewood for the necks and for body wood that we thought had really nice appearance and had really good tap tone. So we spent many hours yesterday going through big stacks of timber, pulling out planks, shaving a little bit off to see the real colour of the wood, discussing and then selecting. So again, they were very helpful.
This one is.
Indeed, this being one piece. So this being one piece of so beautiful rich tap tone, rings like a bell, the New Guinea rosewood. So that's going to be one for our prototypes. Yes. And one piece as well.
More yellow.
So this will be a more yellow, more golden looking timber, but I think that when fine sanded and lacquered, that should be spectacular.
Just like original.
Yeah, because the original George Burns, if we can get Brian up here. There's one of my photos taken by Steve Braithwaite. So that is Brian playing George Burns in 1998. And although we have stage lights on here which can accent the colour one way or the other, that is quite representative of how George Burns looks. So this wood, I believe, will look quite spectacular when sealed, fine sanded, lacquered. That should really glow. So regarding the pickups for George Burns, I've been discussing with Matt Netherwood from England, who makes the Yonder Bosca trisonic pickups, about making a George Burns set that is as close as we can make to the pickups I developed for George Burns. So I'm looking forward to those. He makes a beautiful pickup, and I think they'll be really good sounding, and they'll give the same hum cancelling options as George Burns has, which is just slightly different to the Red Special. And the reason why I wound the pickups in that slightly different way for Brian was, again, after discussing with him and Pete in 1996, well, he told me the obvious, that his favourite two combinations were the bridge and middle in series that he uses for maybe 80% of his sounds, but also the one he uses a lot is the neck and middle out of phase for the well-known screaming guitar solo sounds, Bohemian Rhapsody, I Want It All, I think, and various other songs. And that on his guitar, I found when I played it, that neck and middle out of phase combination was not hum cancelling, and I'd have to walk around to find the right point where the hum would be manageable. And so Pete said, Brian has a bit of problem on stage sometimes, especially when they might have lighting problems with the earthing not as good. So I knew that it'd be an advantage to have that hum cancelling. So I asked Pete, would that be a good idea? He said, yes, that'd be marvellous. So that was yet another reason for the alternative style guitar of George Burns, different timbre, slightly different sound. That pickup combination would be hum cancelling for Brian, which may be a real advantage, especially if he's playing live in difficult situations. And John and Paul were made to the same pickup configuration.
Oh, so all those three of them are
Yes.
hum cancelling for
Correct.
neck and middle.
Correct.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow, that's really good sort of difference.
True, yes.